Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com. Mike P. Kriston H. The Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com.
The rundown.
What up, guys? We are live here. It is Tuesday, December 17th, live here on The Rundown, rundownlive.com. Mike Pachesney, Kriston Harris, and again, it is Tuesday, and let's just start it right off. We have a guest tonight. We're going to be joined with L.A. Marzulli, author, lecturer, researcher about aliens, Nephilim, and all kinds of cool ancient history, and who knows what else. So
that'll be an interesting talk.
Right? It's going to be fun, trust me, guys. So just to get that, we just had to get that off right off the top.
Mike's very excited, obviously, about this guest.
I am a little excited because, I like these topics. You know what I mean? I like getting into the unknown, Klaus Dana we had on, and similar topics, right?
Well, the reason we bring these people on is we like people to understand that not everything works within a box. That there are things out there either science cannot explain quite yet or are outside the realm of science. And one of the great topics are these giant human skeletons, which some people call them Nephilim, other people call them Anunnaki, but the only thing we know is that we have evidence of their existence here.
Were they not alien? Well, these are things that we'll be talking about tonight.
And we'll be talking about that. And even biblically, the Bible, God by definition is alien, new heaven, new earth. I mean, it's pretty interesting stuff. But anyways, we're going to get into some pretty cool topics.
Right. We should probably mention the site and the articles and stuff.
Yeah, if you guys haven't had a chance yet, you guys can either join us on the rundownlive.com/live and join us in the chat room and check out our articles while we're online, or you guys can listen to us on TuneIn or the Droid apps, the iTunes apps, and the Amazon apps, which are free in the Google Play Store. While you're at therundownlive.com, make sure you guys support our sponsors by clicking their banners. Private Internet Access is a pretty cool sponsor we have. What they do is they allow you to search their internet anonymously. They encrypt your internet and pretty much make it so you can download, look at your emails, anything you want to be private, bank account information, and also helps you avoid Reddit bans and video game bans and such on. For $39.95, you can cover 5 computers for a whole year. And
I've
not only that,
heard a rumor.
Use it on your phone.
I actually heard a rumor too that it's better to use this when you're flying or buying flight tickets because for some reason it has something to do with it registers your IP address from where you're located, so your prices could actually be different if it thinks you're in like Miami, even though you're buying a ticket from Milwaukee to Miami. You know what I mean? It just fools the analytics of the system.
If you want to pop up in Japan and be like, yeah, I'm in Japan right now, your IP address would show up as if you were in Japan. The problem is, there's some benefits to that as well, because certain countries block certain information. Right. Obviously, North Korea doesn't have the rundownlive.com because we don't have a single listener from North Korea.
Should we start a petition for that or something? Or should we just let that go?
We'll send it with Dennis Rodman. We'll send him a little CD. I don't know if they have podcast
I don't even think
technology.
Dennis listens. If he did, we should get him on. That would be weird.
That'd be the most awkward Rundown Live interview in history.
But anyway,
nonetheless, privacy is freedom. If you can't keep your privacy, you can't afford to keep any of your other constitutional rights. Speaking of constitutional rights and privacy, make sure you guys check out Block It Pocket, Mike. That was a new one. A Block It Pocket. It allows you to walk around anonymously with your cell phone. You drop your cell phone in this cool little pocket, and it blocks all signals, making it pretty much easy for you to hide from that crazy ex-girlfriend you might have. So
if that's what you're afraid of,
if that's what you're afraid of, or health reasons, offers blocking harmful signals and that cause harm to your body. They also have a lot of other cool products, such as what I call the tinfoil hat. It's a little cool, stylish beanie that blocks the cell phone signals that are harmful to your body. So I recommend it.
Specifically
we use
your
it here.
brain.
Yep, your brain. You need to have good noggin and laptop signals that might be harmful to your lap. For you men out there worried about
The blanket, right.
having children and so on. But definitely check out our sponsors. Let's not forget privacy is freedom. Without privacy, we can't keep any of our other constitutional rights, and that means basically, also allows you to travel anonymously without worrying about other people tracking where you're going. So it's a fantastic thing. And last but not least, if you're not listening, you can listen to us live on TuneIn. We're on Stitcher. And you can call us for a good time at 231-460-1035, and that's our talk show right to your cell phone. So it's pretty awesome.
Right, that's not the call-in. That's the listen
that's not
live.
the call number.
And then you forgot to mention as well, we have an app on Google Play, iTunes, and Amazon as well.
And then Lipson mentioned that we may have a Windows Phone as well. There's a Windows Phone store, so that might be coming soon.
Interesting, yeah, because we haven't had many requests for that. I guess the Windows phones aren't too popular these days.
I don't think so. I think Android, because they have so many free apps, that kind of really drives their platform.
Well, don't forget too that the new Windows Phone is the one that has that really high quality camera on it as well. So maybe more people are getting it now.
Is that the one that has the ultimate sports capture? It's like
no,
18
it
pictures?
has the super zoom on it. That's the Windows Phone.
Gotcha.
It has like a.
Is that the one where they're in the
megapixel
concert and
camera.
they're like a mile back?
Right.
Like right up close. Yeah,
So look at that. You memorized the advertising there. They got you.
I saw it once. I think it was.
Yet I knew exactly what you were talking about. So we should probably mention a couple articles on the site before we start talking about L.A. Marzulli. We have the article up on Japan threatening concentration camps. I guess because the radiation is so high, or what's up with that, man?
Well, pretty much what I found online when I was looking up, I saw a title saying that tests show that radiation in Fukushima over the weekend tested 30,500 times higher than it ever has in history before. And it was interesting that I also tied into that article. There's Charles Bonner. He's standing up for about 50 sailors who served on the USS Ronald Reagan, who was helping people after the 3/11 catastrophe over there in Fukushima, and they've come down with serious thyroid cancer, leukemia, and brain tumors subsequently for participating in this humanitarian type assistance. And so basically, these tests are showing that they're getting some crazy results. But he went on to say, when he's fighting for these sailors to be compensated, that the people from Japan hopefully will get their opportunity on behalf of the voices being heard in this lawsuit against them, because they're threatening to put their people in concentration camps. He goes on to say in this interview I watched with them. And it was pretty interesting that the Japanese people...
threatened because they would come out and tell the public?
Yeah, they're threatening to anyone that complains about radiation.
we gotta move on to LA, but make sure you guys go check that out on the site.
Definitely check out the articles. There's video, and there's also test results to the exact companies, which include TEPCO and GG Press, and as well the sampling facts there, so you can check out the science behind it yourself.
So we do have L.A. Marzulli on the air here live, author, lecturer, researcher. We found you, randomly searching the web here, researching ancient history, the fallen angels, Nephilim, these type of things, and your name just comes. And well, Kristan has a little bit of different story. He found you through what? Giants?
No, through Bruce Fenton. Me and Bruce Fenton got in an in-depth conversation about the historic giant human race, and he asked me if I've ever heard of L.A. Marzulli, and I said, no, I have not. I've read into some things by Steve Quayle. We've talked to Klaus Dana, and we've had some other great giant experts on the show. Obviously, my interest with giants came when I found ancient newspaper articles, not ancient. Beat me to you here. So.
Well, we have LA on tonight, so that's excellent. So why don't we just give the audience a little brief background? What even got you into this subject? Because this isn't like a usual subject. This is pretty intense. You go into some very detailed things, like with the fallen angels and even I guess extraterrestrial or alien beings. So what kind of led you to some of this stuff?
Well, basically, it started with Dr. I.D.E. Thomas's book called The Omega Conspiracy, which came out in 1976. And I picked that up in the late 80s. And that book changed my life. And I interviewed Dr. Thomas, and he became sort of my mentor in all of this. And the rest is history. By reading his book, it led me to the very first book that I ever published with Zondervan Publishing, called The Nephilim, which then became a Nephilim trilogy, which is all fiction. I wonder if I've got the book cover here. Shameless plug. I don't think I do. No, I don't. We just reprinted all 3 books. It's an oversized book. All 3 books under one binding. Nephilim, which is the first book. The Unholy Deception, which is the second book. The third book, which is called The Revealing. It's about 800 pages. And because it's an oversized book, normally it'd be 1,200 pages. So it's like sort of like a Christian X-Files. But then I got into nonfiction, and that's what I've been writing ever since.
You know, they're definitely interesting topics. And, you know, some of these other guests that we've had on in the recent weeks here, we've gotten into some of these ancient history topics. And, you know, it's almost like these things, they're hidden. You know, people don't want to talk about these things, whether or not it discredits you or people just don't believe it. What is it so fringe about these topics? Well, that doesn't help.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Mike. You know, fringe topics? No, not at all here. Thank you very much. It's amazing.
What is that, a voodoo glow skull there? You got
No. This is from...
Just kidding.
This is from Paracas, Peru. We believe it's a female. We believe also it's not the result of cradle headboarding, where they would take fiber and bind the head like this. This skull only has one parietal plate. Right here, you can see it. There should be a parietal suture that comes from the frontal plate here back to the occipital plate, the rear. And what we don't see a hint of parietal suture. We see, in fact, only one parietal plate where there should be 2 parietal plates. So this skull is certainly anomalous. This is just one of many that we have found down there in Peru.
So you're saying that's not the imitation, meaning that people used to imitate the gods or the people they believed to be gods who had these craniums, and therefore that's why the mutilation happened, because these giants or Nephilim had larger elongated skulls. They wanted to imitate them to be more like the gods.
Exactly. The whole idea of the cradle headboarding, you know, why are they doing this in the first place? Why are they taking an infant and binding the head? They're trying to get this shape. We believe this was a female because of a dentition. It's about 18 to 25 years. This is, by the way, as a model, a cast that Joe Taylor did, the Mount Blanco Museum. But we believe it's a female between 18 and 25, and we believe that this is not the result of cradle headboarding. And one of the dead giveaways is the fact that there's only one parietal plate, not 2. A normal human skull should have 2 parietal plates. There should be a parietal suture. See, like right here. Let me go. See this right here. This is a suture. You see that line? That's a suture. Okay. And look at the line in the rear of the skull. See this right here? This is a suture. Okay.
It looks like somebody beat them up a little bit.
That's because they're soft. The skulls are soft and when they're babies, right? And then that's why they always warn people about not to push hard on a baby's head because it's not fully formed. But what you're saying is it's missing the key. It's missing the parietal suture. Right.
Not even a remote hint of the parietal suture. It's not there. And so we believe that these skulls are anomalous. We believe that there's an outside agency, this is our hypothesis, an outside agency that is manipulating the genome. And we are very interested in this. This is only one of many skulls that we saw down there that were elongated. One of the larger ones is about like this. So here's the one that I have here. One of the larger ones was about like that.
So almost twice the size of a normal human being.
Right. I took one out of a museum picture and I kind of photoshopped it into the graphics so if the watchers on the viewers on the screen can see the one down in the corner, that's a little more elongated than the one you were showing us. So I mean that one appears to be real as well too, right? Because I know there has been hoaxes with some of this stuff, but you're legit. These are legitimate. Yeah, right?
We're not putting anything that we're manipulating in Photoshop in any way. What we're down there for, and that's the whole basis of the book on the Trail of a Nephilim, and the accompanying DVD, Watcher 6. That book, do I have a copy of it here? Hold on, guys.
No, that's fine.
I think we're out of luck. Nope, I don't have one in the house. Unbelievable. Sure, I'm just kind of roaming around the office here. Live radio, gotta love it.
That's
those people who might not be able to see. He has a ton of books behind him with some awesome like graphic posters. I always like join us in the chat room.
We've been on safaris with people before in their backyards.
We had Tom Woods fighting snakes in the grass. He's like, "There's snakes in the grass." No, really.
Children running in the street in the background, and
sure. It makes for very interesting radio, and that certainly is not boring. No, I do not have a copy of it. But anyway, the bottom line is the book On the Trail of a Nephilim and Watcher 6 gets into what you called, Kriston, the Smithsonian cover-up, stating that there were no giants and all this. And you mentioned Wisconsin. I may be taking a trip out to Lake Delavan in the not too distant future.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of mounds in Delavan. In fact, in 1913, they actually University of Beloit excavated a ton of them, and they had 9 to 11 foot tall human beings down there. But all the skeletons disappeared.
Sure.
There's legitimate scientists, and from what I can tell, they did have the 9 and 10 foot tall skulls in the museum, but now they have been switched out with normal human size skulls. I think specifically so people don't go, "Wow, that was a big person,"
Well, I've been in contact. Funny you should mention that. I've been in contact with the present curator of the Beloit anthropology section, and I asked him specifically, was the college involved in any sort of a dig? And that seems to be a misnomer. Now, we're all conspiratologists here, and I realize they can go in and say anything if they want to, but he's got absolutely no record of the college being involved in a dig. They did some surveying, but nothing with the college on a dig.
Okay, because there's 2 things I've noticed in my research here. The newspaper clippings that I have actually say that Beloit College was specifically involved with it.
I have the same ones.
You probably have the same ones.
Yeah, and I forwarded the curator.
There's
couldn't get it.
Individual back then in Wisconsin that was heavily involved specifically with these digs almost everywhere in the state. His name was P.R. Hoy, and he was out of Racine, Wisconsin. And when I went to look up any historical information about him opening mounds in our state, I found a couple online that people had been able to get their hands a hold of, but only the Racine City or the Racine Library has copies of these mound openings, and I have not had a chance to make it down there, though. However.
Well, isn't that funny? That's right where I'm at, Kriston.
Yes.
Kriston, you said P.R. Hoy, H-O-Y-E?
Yeah, it's Dr. P.R. and then H-O-Y.
H-O-Y, okay.
Yeah.
And where are these photographs allegedly being stored?
Well, that's not photos. I don't know if they're just photos. It's the report, all the information, all the tools, all the descriptions of him opening the mound, how they were laying, what their size was. That was all there. That's the information they have, and it's in a written kind of like a step-by-step form, because he opened it for I believe the local natural or Indian society or a historic Indian type society, because obviously it was an Indian mound. So,
or at least so they thought, right? So
yeah, I'm actually very much on the trail of a Lake Delavan. The Phillips brothers that were actually in Lake Delavan, and both of them never married. And I actually traced down their ancestors. They had a sister who did marry, and there's progeny. But what's interesting is when you in right now 2013, no one knows anything about it, which is just amazing. The descendants of the Phillips brothers who did the dig in Lake Delavan don't know anything about it, and I've contacted them. They've got no photographs. They've got nothing, or so they say. So it's sort of interesting. The Lake Delavan Trail right now is cold, but there's a researcher that passed away last year who accumulated boxes and boxes of information and lived in Lake Delavan and knew the Phillips brothers. And what I'm hoping is there's pictures, because if we just get one picture, of an 8 or 9 footer, that blows everything out of the water.
Well, right. That would mean that somebody edited what had happened there, right?
Well, possibly, sure.
And then here's the information I found out. I actually I'll send it to you on the Pierre Hoy. He dug in he started obviously his looks as early as 1885, popping open these effigy mounds, and they called it the early native people basically Transactions of Wisconsin Academy of Sciences, Arts, and Letters, and it's from volume 4 in 1885, pages 48 through 100. There's a whole bunch of information. That's just one. There's a ton of these, and I've been trying to get information on him. There's a lot of Wisconsin history following him because he got to name some of the animals that he first identified.
Well, and there's so much
state.
Native American
so much,
history here, so that's understandable how they could kind of just overlap this kind of stuff that they don't like coming out.
And we have pyramids here in Wisconsin, too. I don't know if you ever heard of Rock Lake, the Rock Lake Pyramids, just west of Lake Mills. They actually have pyramids underneath the lake there.
Very strange. Yeah, I don't know anything about those.
See it?
There you go. Rock Lake. There you go. Wisconsin's sunken civilization. Hey, there you go. Frank Joseph.
Yeah, I'm on this stuff like white on rice, man. It's all I do. This is it. I'm on the trail. I'm on the trail of a Nephilim.
Well, it sounds like you're making a lot of progress and that our work has crossed paths. I know I've met quite a few interesting and very legitimate people. People who work for Ancient America magazine, Jim Vieira there.
Sure. Absolutely.
Sure. And he has a passion for this as well, to expose it. And we had some interesting people on this show that are a little bit more eccentric, but had views that believe that the Smithsonian is tied to Skull and Bones and Illuminati. And since these secret societies invest in knowledge and keeping it from people so they can become more advanced to always have control of us, he believes that a lot of this might be being covered up. So it's pretty interesting.
Well, I don't know about that aspect of it. In my book on the Trail of a Nephilim, I put forth the theory that the reason why they're covering it up, and there may be a link here. I mean, who knows, right? But the main reason that I see is it goes against the Darwinian paradigm, and anything that goes against the Darwinian paradigm is immediately dealt with, because the Darwinian, or the theory of Darwin, is held as sacrosanct in academia and the scientific community. And so, according to the Darwinian paradigm, at the end of the Ice Age, the Bering Strait, the whole Beringian theory, which comes from that, these so-called Native Americans or Asians came down through the Bering Strait and populated the Americas. Well, if you've got a giant race of red-haired cannibals like they have in, let's say, Lovelock and the Paiute legend, or
the Norse, the red-haired giants.
Absolutely. It blows that whole theory right out of the water. We have to start rewriting the history books. And that's why I believe all this, at least in the States, has been completely suppressed. And it has been suppressed.
Well, and giants historically are depicted as cannibals. We know in Homer's stories of Cyclops, they wanted a cookie in a pot, Jack and the Beanstalk, and then in history, the Indians talked about the gray giants who were cannibal, and they joined in with the red-haired giants to fight them off. Cannibalism seems to be very common, and sacrifice, and the need for these giants to be worshipped.
Well, my question has always been, are these of this earth? You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think so.
I
think they're the original fallen angels, or the offspring of the humans and the fallen angels, which is explained in Genesis 6:4, where the giants came onto our women because they saw their beauty, and they brought forth giants and men of renowned power. And these giants roamed the earth up to the flood, Noah's flood, and thereafter, meaning some survived. So it's pretty interesting. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And they talk about Amos 2:9, tall as cedars. Well, I got articles of some of these bones, 15, 18 feet tall human beings. That's pretty tall, And even if they were making a mistake by 3 feet or whatever, that's still a tall human being.
No, it doesn't matter. I've got in volume 2 of On the Trail of a Nephilim, which has not been published yet, so I can't really release any of the data. But I will say this, that I've got hardcore photographic proof of an 8.5 footer. And it has not been published. No one knows about it. It's basically research that I did. I happened to find one photograph that the people missed. Let's put it that way. And I've had it looked at by 3 different photographic experts with computer programs, and they're able to extrapolate from the photograph. It's between 8 feet, as let's say the minimum, and 10.5 feet is the maximum. So to be very conservative, I'm putting it at 8.5 feet, but it might have been 9 feet. It could have easily been over 8.5 feet. And I'll be showing that once I get the book done, then I'll come out with that information.
Well, without being too specific about that individual piece, what's your opinion on what's going on here? What are these, and what are they covering up?
Well, this all goes back to what I call genetic manipulation by an outside agency. Now, the moment I say that, there's basically two schools of thought that we can have here. One is we're looking at ancient astronauts or ancient aliens from the Pleiades or the Orion or whatever coming down here and messing with the gene pool for whatever reason. Now, the ancient astronaut theories that we hear about, theorists, let's say in Ancient Aliens, the History Channel Ancient Aliens, that's the paradigm that they embrace. I do not embrace that paradigm. I believe, in fact, that we are in a digital simulation, a holographic universe, if you please. There was an article last week in the Huffington Post about, are we living in a digital simulation?
I saw that.
If that's the case, then we're not. The universe might not be populated. This may be it. We're like in a very highly complex, advanced digital simulation, a shadow of a greater reality. Those who study the UFO phenomena believe, and I'm jumping from, let's say, this into the UFO phenomena, but they're all linked together. And the bottom line is the other paradigm we can embrace is the fallen angelic paradigm. In other words, these denizens from another dimension who are incredibly malevolent, highly intelligent, but nefarious beings are penetrating our space-time continuum, and they're having sex with the women, and they are literally attempting to create man in their own image, and they fail time after time after time, which is why they result in this. So this is not a giant, but the head is completely different. The shape of the skull is completely different than a normal human being. I've had medical doctors look at this and just go, whoa. I've had forensic anthropologists look at this and go, where did you get that? Because it's an anomalous shape. And if there was only one, we would say, well, there's only one. It's an, whatever. It's an abnormality. But we see hundreds of them, literally hundreds of them in Peru. And what's going on, in my opinion, is that these fallen the fallen angelic host, okay, are interfacing with the human genome and attempting to create man and their image. According to biblical text, we are created in the image of God, the image and likeness of God, all of us. I don't know how that works, but that's what the text tells us. So, how does consciousness interface with this three-dimensional bio-bodysuit, my body, which I'm in? Just like you're moving your eyes, you're playing with your little bippy here, Kristan, and we've got headphones on and you can hear me and the miracle of language and we can communicate. It's absolutely profound. How does it all work? How do you know what I'm saying? How does your eye, and you just nodded like that. How do you do that? How do we work this thing? And we're in it and it all works for the
electrical impulse.
It's astounding. It is astounding, right?
It's
the image and likeness of God. Well, these guys, these fallen angelic beings are trying to create man in their own image. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to create a race of individuals in their own image. And this is why this breeding program happened in antiquity. This skull could be at least 2,000 years old, if not older. And then we fast forward to the breeding program that we hear about from guys like Dr. David Jacobs, who we know that there's a breeding program. There seems to be people are taken, they're abducted, sperm is taken from the men, ovum is taken from the women, and later on the women are abducted and they're shown, or even the men, they're shown these like hybrid beings which look human but are not. And when you talk to David Jacobs, which we've done in Watcher 7, over and over and over again, the idea of these hybrid beings being integrated in this breeding program from these entities, wherever they're from, whoever they are, they take great amount of pride and ownership in this breeding program. And I believe, we're going to actually talk about this in Watchers 8, that there's a link in antiquity between these guys and modernity with the so-called alien hybrid beings which they seem to be creating.
So I'm not trying to play the devil's advocate here, but you don't think there's a off chance that, since 93% of life on this planet has deceased or died, since its creation or existence, you don't think it's just chance that it was a humanoid species that either colonized this planet and died, or you believe it was actually physically created in a DNA type base bank, and it was actually on this planet for a purpose and tests.
I believe that when the Bible tells us that Yeshua spoke everything into existence, that's what I believe happened. He literally spoke the DNA and created man from the dust of the earth. I believe that is literally literal. And I believe that when Watson and Crick, who are the co-discoverers of a deoxyribonucleic double helix of life, the DNA molecular structure, Crick's was a vexed man. Watson and Crick. Crick was a vexed man because he realized that, in fact, I have a quote that I use in my lectures with him, that you could take all the billions of years, supposedly, of the universe and the chance, and you can't create just the simplest protein of DNA. I mean, this coding is so elaborate, so incredibly detailed, and it's a code, and somehow it all works. It's like, what? I mean, you look at this thing, I'm astounded by it. Totally astounded by it. And there's, again, you go back to two paradigms. One, which is circular reasoning, okay? And when Ben Stein in his movie Expelled sits down with Richard Dawkins and says, Richard, where does the first self-replicating molecule come from? Dawkins only has one answer, which is circular reasoning. He says, well, maybe a race of highly evolved extraterrestrials living in another galaxy somehow, would have to evolve by some sort of Darwinian process. Whoa, stop right there. Where did they come from? See, it's circular reasoning. So how did that spring into existence? He has no answer. And then he says, well, then maybe they created life and then seeded us through the universe, and we wound up on this planet.
It's a more complex chicken or the egg, pretty much. It's just a little more complex.
He has no idea, nor does anyone else on the planet, how this thing started. So, he has no idea, and yet we've got all this prophecy, right, from the biblical paradigm, which calls out the future a priori, thousands of years in advance, with great specificity. Only unlike Nostradamus, who gives us like 40 or 60%, and then his stuff is clouded, and a 13-year-old reads it and goes, I have no idea what this says. We're told that Yeshua, what we would commonly known as Greek as Jesus, spoke everything into existence, which seems absurd until we start to study what's in the biblical literature, and we find out when he was here for that short period of time, that's exactly what he was doing. You had leprosy in the ancient world, bam, you were healed. How the heck does that happen? He's down in the cellular molecular level, changing that person, which is literally miraculous.
Well, there are some. Oops, sorry. I was going to say there were some rumors that he spent 12 years at a Buddhist monastery where they study chi and things of that nature, which is healing abilities, and he did incorporate a lot of Buddhist ideology. I'm just throwing that out there. I didn't know what your opinion was on that. I know that everyone has a different opinion.
That's absolute nonsense, because show me when Buddhist is doing anything like that today. There's only one guy who, if you were sick, if you were dying, and you got near him and he wanted to, you got healed. There's nobody else doing that ever on the planet. Not like this. Everywhere he went, there's goodness, goodness, goodness. People are healed. People are delivered. People are fed. I mean, the miracles he does is just absolutely mind-blowing. And the problem is the church gets in the way and makes it a religion. And you've got monks and, in smelly robes and stained glass windows and burning candles and incense and priests and popes. And
you got good music, at least.
Jewels. It's insane. And when you strip it down, you've got this God-man, Yeshua, walking around and just blowing everybody completely out of the water, literally. I mean, the guy was absolutely phenomenal. And he says that everything, was created. Basically, I'm paraphrasing here. Basically, I created everything. The universe that you see, I created it. There's only one person on this planet who's ever made that kind of absurd statement, but then backs it up with miracle after miracle after miracle. And so, he gets a really bad rap, unfortunately, by the very organization which is trying to tell people about him. People go, save me from your phone.
Well, his whole concept of the main gift that God gave you is free will is a very dangerous concept, because a lot of people think, salvation is the main gift. But, if God wanted us to all believe the same way he would have created us, that the real gift is free will, if you believe that per se, and people don't understand that.
Oh, I absolutely believe in free will. I mean, that's what's incredible. We're not slaves to anything. It's by choice we decide whose side of the cosmic war, which is another 3-hour conversation, whose side of the cosmic war we'll be on. Let me amplify that thought. We are at a place in space and time right now where knowledge has increased, which, by the way, fulfills one of these ancient prophecies, which says in the latter days, knowledge will increase and men will run to and fro over the face of the earth, which is exactly what's happening. If you were to trace knowledge from let's say, the recorded history, let's go back 7,000 years ago, right? It's basically a straight line like this to the Industrial Revolution. Then you get a little blip, and in modernity, all of a sudden it goes like this. It just goes straight up. Knowledge has increased exponentially up till, let's say, the age of flight and the combustible engine. Man, for thousands of years, moved by horseback and ship. That was it. Now we communicate at the speed of light, like we're doing right now through Skype and the internet, and we run to and fro over the face of the earth.
Reaching that singularity, right.
It's unbelievable where we are. That fulfills the prophecy, which was like 2,600 years old. That prophecy, men will run to and fro over the face of the earth, knowledge will increase, is being fulfilled right here, right now. So there's this cosmic war that is going on between a very malevolent force, and all you got to do is look over what's going on in the Middle East to see that. That's what's happening. And another force, and they're about to clash. And it's manifesting. Look, are you guys aware that in the month of October, there were 2,000 UFO sightings worldwide? That's like a record.
They are picking up, right? You're
Coast
starting to see it all
just
the
had
time.
that video.
A new video as well. Yeah, you're starting to see it more and more, as well as just UFOs in general. It doesn't mean just ships, but just objects in the sky, colors, weird things,
and there's
unexplainable things.
And there's different types. People aren't seeing the same style beast. Another thing that I found interesting are these RFID chips that they recently had some court hearings or something at was it in Washington, where they had a bunch of people who had RFID implants by supposed abductees, and these doctors were their witness that they removed them, and they actually did some kind of rally at the White House, I believe. I could be incorrect.
What you're speaking about, we actually deal with this in Watcher 7. We have footage from it. It's called the Citizens Hearing on Disclosure.
That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was.
It's headed by Stephen Bassett, who we interviewed for Watcher 7. And the gentleman you're speaking about is Dr. Roger Lear, who we also interviewed for Watchers, all the Watchers series from 1 to 7. Dr. Lear has been in it. We actually, in Watcher 7, show a man who has been abducted and has an implant. And we don't show his face because he wants to remain anonymous. But we show the implant on X-ray, CAT scan, and just recently we took him to the surgeon who's going to remove it in the next couple of weeks here. We have a date. I won't tell you what the date is, but we have a date where we're going into the surgical theater and removing the implant. And all this is from the work of Dr. Roger Lear. This has nothing to do with RFID chips. This thing is we believe, is a highly sophisticated supercomputer, and this is our theory, which may be changing the host's DNA. We're trying to vet that.
Which seems to be something that is being done now, whether it's through food and nanotechnology. I was going to ask you, how does this tie into the control structure? Because we're starting to see things like the police state and all these things cracking down. The elites getting real strange and getting these bunkers and islands. How does this tie into that? Do you have any opinions on that?
Well, of course I do. Look, we're living in a time that's leading up to what's known as the time of Jacob's trouble, which again has been prophesied for thousands of years ago, and now we see it beginning to manifest in our day, literally in modernity, right now, right here. And we're told again by Yeshua, this is a prophecy, 2,000 years old, that there would be wars and rumors of wars, famines and pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places, and troublesome times. Let's go to the third one, earthquakes in diverse places. When that prophecy is uttered 2,000 years ago, there's absolutely no way to track an earthquake if you live, let's say, in France, okay? How would you know about an earthquake happening in Fukushima, Japan? You wouldn't know about it. Now, in modernity, right here, right now, When that tidal wave came into the Fukushima prefecture, we saw that event in real time. That is literally unprecedented. And we saw it in real time because they had helicopters with cameras, with video feeds bouncing off the satellites, then feeding that video feed at the speed of live with maybe a 5-second delay to television sets all over the globe. That, my friend, is unprecedented. So now when an earthquake happens, let's say in Haiti in 9.0, we know about it in real time. We know about the rise of earthquakes in diverse places. Look at the wars and rumors of wars. Look at the famines, the pestilence that is taking place. This is all ancient biblical prophecy, which has been sitting there for 2,000 years sort of collecting dust, and now in these last days is starting to manifest. And I find that incredibly alarming.
So you actually believe that it is the last days and that is the prophecy, as you say?
Absolutely.
Well, what separates these last days to, let's say, in World War II, when everyone thought that Adolf Hitler was bringing about the end days? Because I actually me personally have a problem with that, because I think that a lot of Christians or people who believe in this are going to be submissive because they're expecting it to happen. And I think that if we would have done that, we should have done that in World War II, because the New World Order would have already been in charge. So, I mean, I think that we don't really always know if it is or isn't, in my opinion. I just wanted to throw that out there, you know.
Oh, and that's a really good point. Let me walk you through some things. The reason why World War II or World War I or any other conflict would not be a sign, as devastating as it was, it's a lead up to. And I write about this in the Cosmic Chess Match. What happened in World War II? You've got this crazy guy by the name of Adolf Hitler, and you've got the Nazis who are deeply entrenched in occult, mystical beliefs. They do all this stuff. They're
Tool Society.
Pardon me?
The Tool Society, right? And the Vril Society.
That was just one, the Vril Society, Tool Society, exactly. But all these guys are entrenched in occult beliefs. And what they do is they set up concentration camps. Who do they go after? They go after a lot of people, but they single out the Jews. Why? Because they know that the time of the regathering of the Jews back into the ancient homeland of Israel is about to happen. They know that because the latter rains, which have not fallen in Israel for almost 2,000 years, begin to fall. They know this because the earthquakes and the pestilence that used to come up into Israel have stopped. They also see a trickle of Jews coming back into this ancient homeland, their ancient homeland. And so what does Hitler do? Hitler tries to destroy them all. And he almost succeeds, because if he can wipe out every Jew, the prophecy will not be fulfilled. The God of the Bible is a liar. Follow the Antichrist, essentially, which is what's going on. The Israel being established as a nation in 1948, in my opinion, sets the prophetic clock spinning. That's when everything starts. And when you think about it, it's an absolute absurdity that Israel would be reformed in a nation. But guess what? The prophecies in the Old Testament talk about a nation being born in a day. There are many prophecies which talk about in the latter days, I will regather you from the four corners of the earth and set you back into your ancient homeland, never to be removed again. We are in those days. It starts the prophetic clock kicking. That's why we're in the last days.
If you don't mind me asking, what's your opinion of Revelation 3:9, where it states that there will be Jews who claim to be Jews, but they're not really Jews, and that those are the people to worry about? Are those the Zionists who are pushing for this New World Order, in your opinion?
That scripture has been so misquoted. And what it says is those who are Jews but are not, it talks about the Synagogue of Satan. In fact, what we really should do is just open it up and read it so people can. I actually had a man by the name of Dr. Paul Eulish, and he wrote a rebuttal on that, because there's several people out there who are promulgating that take that one scripture completely out of context and then apply it to the Jews that are living in Israel. Hitler, and I don't mean to be trite here, Hitler had no problem figuring out who the Jews were, and that's why he liquidated and killed and slaughtered 6 million of them. And that number is by far accurate. And I'm a student of the Holocaust, and what happened there was absolutely unprecedented. And it's incredibly barbaric. And there was a Luciferian, look, the word Holocaust means a sacrifice, a burnt offering on an altar. The German word is Holocaustin, and that's what it means, a burnt offering on an altar. And this is what came back into Israel. And so the anti-Semites, which are alive and well on this planet, use that verse, take it out of context, and try to make a case that, oh, these are the Synagogue of Satan. And it's absolutely nonsense. I can't stress enough how nonsensical it is.
Yeah, I have mixed opinions on the whole situation. Whenever we talk about that, it brings up like relevant times and things that's going on over there. And I have a lot of problems with the control structure and the New World Order, you would say. And I don't want to make it about Israel and all that stuff. It's a subject that's touchy for a lot of people. Ancient history, we can point our finger to that, and we almost know that it has been altered, whether it was the written history through the Roman culture, religion, all these things. The things we're talking about tonight, like with the Nephilim and the fallen angels, whatever you want to call them, aliens, demons, there's a lot of different names. But the point is, there's a lot of information out there, and it's being held back. And that's why, sometimes we talk about these elite as Satanists and, using these energies. And you kind of spoke on some of these things. Like, it is a separate presence. And I guess, the average people are uneducated to what's actually going on here. So it's definitely interesting ideas to throw these things out there.
Have you heard of a Klaus Dana? His
sure.
find.
I've had Klaus on my show. We've communicated several times.
Yeah, he found a 7.3 meter giant, remains of a 7.3 meter giant was at 25 feet tall.
Not to mention the artifacts. I mean,
and artifacts,
that he has that don't place into any specific time frame. And see, that's another thing
they
I
were
wanted
tested
to ask.
too on top
well,
of
that's
it.
another thing I wanted
evidence.
to ask about LA, because he had mentioned, this is that singularity point. Do you don't think that this has ever happened before? I mean, we may have had, in my opinion, we may have had a civilized culture, beyond our history, but maybe they weren't at this point. Do you have any feelings on that?
Yeah, I think that history is not cyclical, which what the author Toynbee would tell us, that it just continues like this ad infinitum. History is climactic. We are moving towards a climax, to a point. If we are in a digital simulation, a holographic universe, then the controllers, let's say, the creators, are going to come back at some point. And that's where this whole thing is headed. And this is why I hold very tenaciously to the biblical paradigm, because it talks about the prophecy and tells us exactly how this thing is going to happen. I'll give you one prophecy, that the fallen cherub, the fallen angel, will come with all signs and lying wonders. That's a very dire warning. And I believe it hinges on and what's manifesting in the skies, the whole idea of UFOs and what the ancient alien guys on the History Channel are constantly promulgating, that we were created by this race of extraterrestrials. Well, when you look at the founding fathers, in some ways, if I could call them that, when you look at Jacques Vallée, one of the founding fathers of ufology, and J. Allen Hynek, founding father of ufology, they both believe that these entities, wherever they're from or wherever they were, okay, seem to be more interdimensional, and they lied and did so habitually, okay? And these guys were looking at this stuff and saying, I don't think these are extraterrestrials. They seem more like the demonic entities or the fallen angels that we read about in ancient scripture. Both of these guys came on the record and said that.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very interesting. I just want to make sure people get to check out your books, your websites, LA. So here in the last 5 minutes.
And when you come to Wisconsin, you got to call. I'll definitely help you out.
We'll definitely come out there with our camera stuff.
It'd be interesting to get your opinion on things. Sure. Definitely interesting to hear your point of view. And you definitely have a place if you need to come on by to hang out. Hey, you got a place to hang out. So.
But I did want to give you the floor here the last 5 minutes to let people know about any books, any programs, your radio show, all those things that you got going on here in the last 5.
Sure. Well, the best place to go is lamarzulli.net, lamarzulli.net, and you can avail yourself of books and DVDs and all sorts of incredible information. When you get on the Trail of a Nephilim, you will see it's an oversized book with about 120 different photographs of what we saw. The megalithic structures, a giant, huge 120-ton stones being moved and set in place without mortar, polygonal shapes, unbelievable. Plus, you'll see stuff like this, lamarzulli.net. When you get Watcher 7, I promise you this, you will see startling UFO footage that was taken in Kumbagza, in Turkey. I can never get that word out. In Turkey, it's a UFO gull-shaped like that, and there's an open cockpit. And in that cockpit are two gray aliens with that large heads and the black elongated eyes. It is startling UFO footage. You will see that and other UFO footage. We flew to Mexico and got unbelievable stuff from Jaime Musan, who gave us and allowed us to use his footage. All that is in Watcher 7, www.lamarzulli.net.
Awesome. And I just want to mention the books again. You have the whole Nephilim series, Prophecy and the Supernatural, and Cosmic Chess Match. So obviously we could talk, for another 3 hours on all kinds of stuff. I just wanted to get, a well-rounded, explanation of what's going on. What one is that? That's further.
This is further evidence.
Further
and
evidence.
This goes along with Watcher 7.
Awesome.
Watcher 7 and then further evidence.
See, these are all interesting subjects to me, whether it's Nephilim, angels, aliens. I've always been a guy that, I grew up being afraid of aliens. I was a young kid. I used to dream about aliens attacking me in the night. So who knows? I could have been the guy with the implant. Who knows? You know what I mean? Because I literally, as a child, used to dream about aliens coming and taking me away. Who's to say, LA, that didn't actually happen?
We should talk, Mike, off the air.
I'm not trying to BS you here. I am completely serious. It kind of freaked me out for, until I was about 10 or 11.
I want to get a chance to get your opinion on magnetic current, because you said they don't use mortar. I think a lot of that is involved with Edward Leeds Scullman's, some of his research. I don't know. Are you familiar with Edward Leeds Scullman?
Very much so. Coral
Yeah, magnetic current. I think that's why sometimes like the Rockwell can't be really dated, because they try to use magnetic current to verify.
I saw that recently,
yeah, and if they knew the secrets of the ancient Egyptians like Edward Leeds Scullman, I'm curious to see if samples from Coral Castle would have similar results, or the pyramids, to what we found at Rockwell, because it's too weird that Rockwell is laid out like a big castle and they're trying to say it's a natural.
With the energy and all these things, it's very strange. And then I did want to mention, I saw on your blog the whatever device or object that was removed. You had mentioned in your video that it was unable to be cut, and it had to be cut by a laser, right?
Yes.
So that's pretty. That's pretty strange that it couldn't be cut by diamond. It had to be cut by laser.
You're going to see all that in Watcher 7. We talk about the implants. We talk about the Turkish UFO and all sorts of other stuff. It's what we do. It's cutting edge material, in my opinion.
All right, well, L.A. Marzulli, you're going to have to come back and visit us again. We'll talk more. It was definitely a great show.
We'll have to stay in touch. Definitely. When you come to Wisconsin, we'll meet up and grab some burgers before we talk Giants. And, hey, maybe we can find some mounds on private property, because there's a ton of mounds in Wisconsin, I'm sure of it.
There are.
Ancient history here, right. So lamarzulli.net, I appreciate it. We'll have all the links and stuff. You have a good night.
You have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So definitely
what an awesome
great
guest.
talk. Yeah, man, we are just getting in deep, aren't we? We go from, talking about protests to talking about like fallen angels. We're like the hardcore Harry's proteges over here.
Well, the biggest thing is that we open these things to debate, because there's information out there, and there's all these forbidden archaeological discoveries that no one wants to talk about because they don't fit in science, or either that or science cannot explain them yet. And the thing is, they need to be open to debate, because either science is wrong or there's something out there that we're not sure of, and it could be both. So without having these kind of debates, we can't stir critical thought. We can't make decisions for ourselves, and we can't grow. We can't grow as beings, or if you're a Christian, as a Christian, unless you understand some of these things and that there's other possibilities out there.
And I was going to say, judge all the information individually. If you didn't agree with everything he says, doesn't mean you throw it all in the trash. I didn't necessarily agree with the Israel stuff, but that doesn't mean I'm going to throw all his research on Nephilim down the drain. You know what I mean?
And we allow people, this is a megaphone. Everyone can tell their story. We have people that tell us we came from monkeys. We have people who believe we came from other planets. And that's just it.
Religious people, it doesn't matter, right?
And I bet you if we asked him, he'd believe we'd want to bring all the troops home too. So
Morgan Rockwell started the Satoshi religion. He thinks, Bitcoin is Jesus. So, we give a platform for everybody, guys.
He's going to go to Litecoin hell.
Make sure you guys hang out. I know Hardcore Harry's got an interview coming up next on Truth Broadcast Network. His show is Death to the New World Order. Make sure you guys visit the site. We got a bunch of articles up. We try to post stuff daily. Our site's therundownlive.com or rundownlive.com if you don't like typing in the. They both lead to us. Make sure you check out the sponsors, private internet access on the site, Blocket Pocket. Anything else, Kristan, before we're out till
make
tomorrow?
sure you guys go to the rundownlive.com and share our articles on your Facebook, because you will not get our updates and or articles unless you share our articles. Facebook has this new thing to limit our ability to share information. I'm guessing anything to do with liberty, freedom, and patriotic.
Yeah, you literally have to go to our page
and share something.
You literally have to change
and we're not
it
even
to
joking.
show all to show all posts. It's literally, if I could get it up, I would show you guys, but I don't think I got enough time. So you have to go right where it says liked. You have to click that little box. It comes down, and you go to show all updates, because right now you're not seeing all our updates on any of our pages, whether it's the InfoWar page, We Are Change Milwaukee, the Rundown Live, any of those pages. You're not seeing everybody's updates, because we have a lot of admins, like say on the We Are Change Milwaukee page, that post tons of good information. It's not just us at the Rundown Live. We have how many admins
Waking
on that
Up
page?
Wisconsin,
40 or 50
Corey,
people? Yeah, almost
Liberator.
everybody that does some good for the movement, we got them on there. So check out those pages if you haven't liked them. Like I said, Kristan, anything else before we're out of here, man?
No, that's it. We leave you with that. And
who we got tomorrow? Stu Webb?
Tomorrow, we got Stu
making
Webb,
his second appearance, so we'll be talking some. Who knows what we're going to be talking?
Well,
Solstice,
last time
Satanism. Who knows?
He called out about the Illuminati sacrifice. They're going to try to
if you have not seen the Stu Webb
happened.
interview, go back and watch Stu Webb before
wild,
he's on.
It's crazy.
We got Mitch William Smith on Thursday on Rasta Zombie. Fridays, Adam Kokesh. All right, guys, make sure you stay tuned for Hardcore Harry coming up next. Encore is on 12 a.m. Central, 1 a.m. Eastern, FPRNradio.com, also on Truth Broadcast Network. We're out of here, guys. Peace.
We love you guys in the chat.
We definitely love you guys in the chat.
These guys
Tune
in the podcast, too.
Download the apps. All that good stuff. Stitcher as well.
For a good time, right on the shithouse wall, 231-460-1035. Listen to the rundown now. Donate Bitcoin if you want to support what we do here. Bitcoin users, we make it easier for you. Helps what we do here. You guys have a good night.
Stay The Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out the Rundown.
LAMarzulli.net. LAMarzulli.net.
Mike P. Kristan H. The Rundown, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Check out therundownlive.com.